else. Let's see. Lori, can you see the PowerPoint? Okay, great. Welcome everyone to behavior management and provider code of conduct training. And this is one of the critical trainings that we are required to do yearly with you for our licensing. So your acknowledgement quiz is even more important at the end of training today. So we're going to jump right into some housekeeping and business items. Standard stuff. Please make sure your cameras are on. I do understand that there are a few people that don't have cameras on their computers. That's understandable, but if you do have a camera, please keep it on. And your microphone should auto mute, but you know, if you need to unmute them, go ahead and do that at any time if you have a question or if you need to seek clarity or anything like that. So we're going to ask again that everybody please pay close attention, especially to this training as it is required by our licensors. And just notice that there are a lot of people doing other work during all staff. And while I understand that people do have the ability to multitask, I don't feel like you're getting the full benefit of this training if you're working also on notes, let's say, for instance. So I'm just going to ask that we really focus on the training, please. And yeah, thanks. I hope you understand what I mean by that, but it's just helpful. So as I mentioned earlier, the training acknowledgement is even more critical this month. It's critical every month. We have to prove that we do these trainings with you, and this is the way that we prove it. They literally will look at your file to see if you've attended these trainings. And behavior management and the provider code of conduct, which we're doing today, is one of those trainings that they're going to search for to see in your file. So at the end of training, go to this website to complete your training acknowledgement quiz. That quiz is your, and the answers to it are, that is your attendance check mark, if you will. I'm not taking attendance via the roll from Zoom at all. It is only if you submit the training acknowledgement quiz. Here is the website to do that. It is cap, what's that word where the caps matter or they don't matter? It's
case sensitive.
Case sensitive.
Case sensitive. Thank you. It is case sensitive. So either write that down. I did email that to you when I sent you out the reminder, and I will try to email out again at the end of training, but you should have that readily available to complete your quiz. It takes 3 to 5 minutes. It's all online. You don't have to print it out anymore. You don't have to sign it, except for signing it digitally. Should be pretty easy. So just want to let you know that Lori and Lisa and I have been working hard on updating and codifying and really clarifying our dress code for the House of Hope. And I now have a small committee of volunteers. Well, it's not that small. There's about 10 employee volunteers that have already responded to the draft code. I just want to let you know this will be coming. I hope it will be coming to you by even by this Friday. That would be tremendous, and then we can get everyone to sign the new dress code. And it really should now, the new dress code should answer all questions regarding what is and isn't appropriate dress for the House of Hope. So just want to make you aware of that, to watch for that. I went over this last month, but I think it bears repeating because I've had a lot of questions from people trying to find their coworkers. There's a very easy way to do it. It's just got kind of a little trick at the beginning. So I'm going to show you one more time how to find your fellow employee's extension. You can also find their cell phone number, although I'm going to make sure that we all understand that this is a very confidential list and no cell phone numbers are to be given out. But in order to find your colleagues' extensions, you first need to open a brand new Edge browser. Okay, so it can't be opening a new tab of a browser you already have open. That's the trick. If you remember that trick, the rest of it should be quite easy. Just remember, it has to be a brand new browser. And I don't even think it can be a new browser with a browser open. I think you have to close down your browser and start anew. But that's the trick. If you get that trick, then it's easy enough to go to the very first tab that comes up, which is the House of Hope landing page. So you're just going to go right to that first page there, and you're going to choose either Staff Contact Salt Lake City or Staff Contact Provo, and voila. That's it, really. That's really all you have to do. There's one more quick trick to find the cell phone numbers for our recovery assistants in Salt Lake, not for Provo, but in Salt Lake under recovery support. You just need to click this link here and it'll list out all of the recovery assistants for you. That's just one more quick step. Otherwise, it looks pretty much like this. I keep it very up to date. And as new people come on, I get them added as soon as I can. And the right side of your screen, that's Jessica, keeps that very up to date for Provo's contact list. This is just trying to make it really easy for you to find each other and be able to, buzz each other and even call each other on your cells if you need to. So I wanted to go over that again. Please remember that it's confidential. All cell phone numbers are confidential. Important upcoming events. There are quite a few of them. So let's go through these and let's make sure that we are all on the same page. So did somebody interrupt?
I asked you to add one to the thing. A lot of people call me for David Hewitt's number. Can we add him on there?
I'm sorry, I can't understand who's speaking.
It's Marion.
Oh, Marion. Okay, what did you say, Marion?
Can we add David Hewitt to this list?
Yes, David is on the list.
Oh, I'm sorry. Never mind.
Yep, he's under records, under the House of Hope heading.
Yeah, I saw. Sorry.
So February 16th is the Rally for Recovery at the Capitol Rotunda. Somebody that knows more about this, either Margaret or Lori, are we actually taking clients up there? What's the plan?
Yeah, I mean, that's the plan so far. When I'm back in the office tomorrow, Mara's out sick today. We were planning on taking some clients from South Temple and some clients from 10th. So I know they were working on that last week, but yeah, the rally will be amazing. We have signs and everything we usually take up there and wear our t-shirts. So yeah, it's the plan.
Cool. And I'm assuming any staff member that wants to attend as well is welcome to attend, is welcome to head out there, head up to the Capitol.
Yeah, if anybody feels like they want to volunteer and go up there, that would be great. I mean, it's a cool thing to witness, to see that many people inside the Capitol fighting for rights for substance use disorder and mental health. So it's kind of a pretty awe-inspiring thing to witness, at least one time. It's pretty chaotic there and it echoes a lot, but like I said, it's kind of our democracy at its best, with people really rallying for a good cause during the legislative session that's going on right now, so that they don't forget about us when they're allocating money.
Nice. Awesome. February 20th, that is a week from today. The office will be closed for President's Day, and we have holiday scheduled hours for our residential and day treatment teams. That's a week from today. Licensing has been moved up to March. If you have not heard that, I do not know if that also is for Provo's licensing, Lori.
Rusty hasn't got in touch with us yet. They move a little differently down there, but I'll reach out to him. I haven't reached out to Elizabeth, our licensor in Salt Lake, yet to do the date. I'm kind of hoping for the last week in March, what I'm pushing for. So, but they want to get it done because our licenses expire at the end of April, and so they want everything in so they have time to process them and it's not so stressful, which makes sense. I'd rather have it done in March so we can get ready for the luncheon.
Yeah, right. I mean, if we get that out of the way, then we can put our focus on the legacy luncheon. Yeah. This was just new info to me that daylight savings is happening on March 12th this year. Seems like it gets earlier and earlier. I hate the spring forward daylight savings, but just make sure that you get that on the calendars. Then the following Monday is the March all-staff meeting. April all-staff meeting is April 10th. So remember, all-staff meeting is from 2 to 4 on the second Monday of every month.
And we might, I didn't tell you this, Kurt, but usually when we have the luncheon, we don't have all staff in April. I'll confirm that with Lisa though, because we ask all the staff to come on a Friday morning. It's kind of out of the norm. So
gotcha. Okay.
It probably won't, it will, and most likely 95% will happen.
Okay.
Unless something comes up with licensing that we have to take care of, but
okay.
Because we
so
want everybody to come to the
95% that April 10th date will not be an all-staff meeting date. Okay, great. And then the legacy luncheon, which I have heard so many great things about at the Masonic Temple, begins at 9:30 a.m. with a continental, that is spelled really wrong, continental breakfast. And then 10 a.m. the program begins, and then at 12 p.m. we have a luncheon. I know we've spoken to this before, Lori, but just if you want to give another overview of who's expected to be there and at what time, et cetera.
Yeah, I mean, we ask all the staff to come if they can, for sure, all the day staff. And then, Provo, of course, it comes up, all the current clients, and then as many as alumni as we can get. So I will be pushing for that a lot, and so will Mikkel. And then also, we'll have guests. Sorry, I could not think of the word. My brain is still fuzzy. We'll have guests, and we'll reach out to, a lot of our collaborative agencies we'll invite too. So sometimes up to 300 people. We'll have alumni speakers and guest speakers, and of course the choir will sing. So it will be a great day.
Awesome. Rourke mentioned in the comments that after we do this change with daylight savings this March, that we never have to change again. Is that true?
I heard that they passed the law. I thought it was this year.
Yes, it is true. The legislature said that this is the last time we'll have to change our clocks back. They're abolishing daylight saving time as of March. So never have to do it again.
Celebrate. Yeah, I'm happy about that. Okay, cool. All right, moving onward. We have full meeting, so I need to keep going. All right, here we go. Come on, PowerPoint. Provo has had some new staff this month, some cool new staff. I'm going to get this out of the way if I can. Jessica, how about you? Will you introduce your new staff to us all? Jess might not be on right now.
Sorry, it wouldn't unmute.
Oh, there we go.
Hello.
Hi, Jess.
So we've got, oh, this is all of the Provo newbies. Okay, so we do have Dan. Unfortunately, I keep forgetting to get his picture, so that's on me. Sorry about that. But Dan is here. We've been put him straight to work, and he's been so great about getting things done quickly and helping us with things like locked doors and whatnot. And then we have Vivian and Faith, who are two of our new dynamic and awesome RAs. In fact, they're both on shift right now. And we're really happy to have them here. They're doing a great job of getting into the swing of things quickly. And then Carson is our new bachelor's level intern, and she's here on Mondays and Wednesdays and has really been helping out, especially for Eden, our case manager. So we're happy to have all of these people here. And we've got a few more people who should be starting later this month as well. So we're looking forward to getting even some more new staff. Yeah.
Thanks, Jess. So just so you guys all know, Sam quit last December, not this past December, but the December before. So both Jessica and Allie and everybody in Provo, they've had to kind of really come together to do all of their own maintenance. And so I'm really, really glad that we were able to get Daniel in. Of course, I'm happy to have Vivian, Faith, and Carson with us too. So it's just a happy fest. It's a happy fest in my heart. So Salt Lake's also had a pretty great month. I tell you, these last couple of months have just been an HR director's dream in a lot of ways. We have Callie, a new recovery assistant working on Katrina's team. Also, Stella Wiley III is also working on Katrina's team. Want to welcome both of you to our recovery assistant family. It's great to have you both. And then we are welcoming Joby Schneider to the administrative team. She works in the development office, so she shares an office with Margaret. She is our administrative and outreach assistant. So what that means is that she's doing a lot of outreach, working with volunteers, helping Margaret half-time with that, and then she serves as Lisa's administrative assistant part-time, as I understand it. So, peek your head in and introduce yourself to Joby. And if you see Stella or Callie, please make sure you introduce yourself to them as well. We have a couple of more staff to welcome. We've got Lakin, our brand new family case manager. So we have two family case managers. We are full in the family case management office. They both share an office, and it's right, one office down from me. We want to welcome you, Lakin. We're so glad to have you. And I've already heard great things about how you've just been able to dive in. And we have a brand new group specialist working on Work's team. Her name is Kaylin Weed. And Kaylin, I was fortunate enough to spend a couple of hours with during her new hire orientation. And she's just very sweet and funny and kind. And I'm sure her groups are just going to be amazing. So welcome, Kaylin. We are so glad to have you. We are possibly in the process of hiring one more group specialist. And so that is also great. We're getting those group specialist positions filled. I'm just so thrilled. Okay. Moving on, it is time for our hoodie ceremony. We have two amazing staff members who have celebrated 1 year with House of Hope. That is our own Maddie Bowler Maddie, our outpatient case manager, celebrated her 1-year anniversary this last January 10th. It was like the day after our last all staff meeting, but I couldn't put her on because she wasn't 1 full year that. But she is now. And then Aubrey Scout, as you all know, client services specialist, who is just fantastic, amazing. So many people count on Aubrey so much. And she's had her 1-year anniversary on the 2nd of, she has a cool start date. Her start date was 2/2/22. So I am going to turn the time over to Lori, unless you want me to read it, Lori. I'd be happy to do that. If you're not.
I can try it. We'll see how my voice does. Hey, we also, Peter's been here a year too.
Almost in 2 days.
2 days.
Yep.
All right, Peter, you got 2 days left. We hired him for Valentine's Day. I don't know, Marion, is the gong ready? Do you think
I'm getting it.
Do you think
I
the
just
gong
lost
can, after every paragraph, can we do the gong?
I got it.
Yeah, that's it.
All
That's
right.
what I'm talking about.
Are we ready?
We're ready.
Okay. See how I do. My voice lost. Congratulations. You've changed. You've grown. You're looking older. You seem much wiser, healthier, bolder. You've been at House of Hope a year, but it seems like you've always been here. So we honor you the best way we could with the one and only House of Hope Hood E. Okay, we'll take it. Once you've worked here, you will find something has changed in your heart and mind. It wasn't easy. You've cursed and cried, but you've made it through. You've endured and thrived. You've made mistakes, which you had to repair. You had to learn to trust the process here. You had the help of your trusty team. Now a year has passed, just like a dream. Okay.
Was that better?
Better. Now, as you go forward in the life you choose, there's something you will never lose. It's the laughs, it's the tears, it's the client's face. When she finds her truth, nothing can replace. That feeling that there's something greater than you, a spirit of hope, a long-term view. Yeah, I don't even know what that was. Now you may move on in a year or two, but House of Hope will never leave you. No, you won't forget, for you are stronger, and we hope you'll be with us much longer. But a part of you will always be here where you worked and grew for the whole last year. Now say what you learned and make it sound wise. For arduous grow, through adversity we rise. Yay.
Great job. Maddie and Aubrey, please see Margaret to get your awesome hoodie. Okay, great. Thank you. Moving on. More housekeeping. Oh, it's staff of the month. Provo, you're first.
I'm just pulling it up. I thought my email was open. It wasn't. It got closed. So 1 second. I know. Do you remember who Allie nominated though? She nominated our very own Lynn Story, who is doing an excellent job, and not only just in the Hope Center, but also taking on the enormous task of rec and helping out with family labs and stuff. I know that we've had a lot of fun working together on those and getting supplies and things together for the clients to be able to do some stuff and to help learning and helping with their stress management a lot and giving them some tools for that. And we greatly appreciated her willingness to do that. Allie said specifically that she has gone above and beyond to improve the children's program, has made rec a very rewarding and enjoyable experience for all of the clients. She has used her creativity to assist clients with coping skills, and she is really great with the kids. She's a dedicated employee, and I very much appreciate everything she does for House of Hope. Also, Lynn is doing her internship with us as well. So she's extremely busy at House of Hope. And we appreciate every second we can have with her.
Congratulations, Lynn. That's awesome. Congrats.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You deserve it. Okay, moving on to our Salt Lake City Staff of the Month. I believe I'm turning the time over to Cami. Is that right?
Yes. Okay, so for Staff of the Month, I chose this person because they add to the quality with their skills and creativity, handling challenging times with exceptional calm and contentment. I think not having a therapist in day treatment has been kind of tricky. And they've all just stepped up and done wonderful jobs of covering groups and meeting all the clients' needs. And sometimes when the clients aren't here full time in residential, it's more challenging to make sure that they follow through and do treatment. And so I chose Amanda Callahan for being one of the kindest people here. I think quite possibly one of the kindest people I've ever met in my life. She's always smiling, she's always willing, she's always kind. All of the clients have the utmost respect for her and her opinion and her abilities. So yeah, I think I chose Amanda for this.
Thanks, Cami.
Well deserved, Amanda. Congratulations. And you are one of the kindest people I've ever met too. So thank you for everything you do. Lori, we don't have any others.
Yeah, we have the another pick of the month. Yeah, oh. I just want to say, Amanda, I appreciate that you and the day treatment team, because you guys just figured it out, man. You know, nothing like a 5-person, 6-person team and Erica out, and everybody just figures it out. So
yeah, thanks. You guys all help too. Covering groups makes a difference. So thank you.
Yeah. For the other Staff of the Month, we chose this person because they've really worked through some tough times and had to pick up with a lot of turnover with staff. They just figure out how to work with their clients and stay positive. And I know sometimes it's been really tough times where they want to cry in the corner with having to figure out how to deal with all the chaos of screaming children, and our center moms who cannot always be the nicest people to them. So we chose Clara for the Staff of the Month because Clara's been amazing and stuck through a lot of people leaving and hung on to staying here. So I really appreciate Clara. It's hard. I think the Hope Centers, you know, besides an RA, it's one of the hardest jobs to work because you feel a little distanced from the main treatment center, and the clients aren't always as nice to them as they are to us at the treatment center. So I just really appreciate how hard they work to keep our kids taken care of. So thank you, Clara. I'm not sure if she's on here yet, but she's awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
And you have
thank
Clara,
you so much.
maybe the greatest, maybe the best attitude of anybody I've ever met. You're just so positive to be around. You make me smile every time I see you. This is just so well deserved. You really deserve this.
Oh, good. I'm glad. And thank you.
Yeah. Congratulations, all three of you, Lynn and Amanda and Clara. February Staff of the Month. Stop by to Marion's office to get your prize, to get your award. Marion will have that ready for you. Okay, wrapping up housekeeping. Just really quickly, we're going to go through Culture Corner, and I'm going to turn the time over to Cami for that.
Okay, do you want to put up the other slide? Thank you. Okay, so for Cultural Awareness and Inclusivity Committee, this month we've been focusing a lot on Black History Month, and we passed around a role for everybody to sign up and pick a different day to choose a different activity. I know that some of them have invested a lot of time. I know Julie did a really great thing to have the clients work on a quilt on their rec day, and but it can also be very simple, like mine. I'm doing mine tomorrow, and it's probably only going to take 5 to 10 minutes tops. So if you haven't signed up on the calendar, I believe Lori has it, or should have it in her door by tomorrow. So if you haven't signed up on the day and you want to participate, and if you're willing to participate, we just go down during behavior group and give a little presentation to spread some awareness. Another thing that we wanted to bring up is, what is our bias? Here is a vulnerability moment. This helps us raise awareness to how we interact with others, looking at our own blind spots. So I am going to start, and then I'm going to hope that someone else decides to follow along. But one of my blind spots when this was brought to me, took me a little bit of thinking, but I was thinking about it at lunch today too, about how we feel, how we as like an individual feel in our emotions and in our bodies by ourselves. I know I sometimes can project that into situations. So if I'm feeling really intense, then a situation will be more intense when it necessarily didn't need to be. Or if I'm feeling sad personally in my own life, like maybe somebody else's situation, I feel more sadness for. And I think to take apart me as an individual and how I'm feeling and what I'm doing to take care of my mental health and to take care of myself as an individual, and keep that very separate from the relationship I have with myself to the relationship I have with my coworkers, or the relationships that we have with clients, or any other relationships or interactions, just to make sure that like individually is not projected onto a situation or onto other people. So that's one of my blind spots. I know that I'm working with a therapist and trying to do my own self-care and trying to take care of myself, to know that in different moments that I can separate the two or compartmentalize, put them in different areas for the time being. But next month, so if anybody wants to bring up one of their blind spots that they're working on, that would be great. But by next month, we're going to come back to this, and we want you to be able to identify 5 ways where your biases or blind spots appear in your relation to coworkers, supervisors, clients, individuals, or anything in your life. Mine was just an example of something that I'm working on personally, and it can absolutely appear like in relation to my supervisors, at 100%. If I'm feeling overly emotional in my life and something's wrong is said to me, I can totally take it personally or take more attachment to it when maybe it doesn't even really apply, but I just identify with it. So mine is definitely staying more aware of who I am, how I'm feeling, and keeping that separate with other people. And I think with clients too, clients get to watch us practice being healthy, right? And sometimes we practice on them, unfortunately and fortunately. And sometimes they watch us practice with our supervisors or with other people that we work with, but where we get to be the role models and examples of teaching healthy and effective ways of living, practicing on it on each other, or taking the time to go to therapy or taking the time to do self-care, whatever that looks like for you, is really going to have a big difference in what these ladies see as healthy. If they see us gossiping, they're going to recognize that gossip is part of professionalism when it doesn't need to be there. It can affect in so many different ways of our lives. So that is one of my vulnerable moments. If anybody has one that they would like to share, anybody? Okay, nobody's doing it, but by next month, y'all are gonna have to do it. Lori's gonna make sure that we sign up, we all get vulnerable. I think it's important that we get vulnerable, and when we expect them to get vulnerable and roll with us, I think it's super important that we're able to get vulnerable and roll with ourselves and with each other. So that is going to be our Culture Corner challenge for the month, and we will circle back next month. So be prepared, pay attention this month, and see what you can work on as an individual and what possibly your blind spots might be.
Thank you, Cami. Thank you so much. Okay, I'm going to turn the time over to Lori to do our behavior management training.
Thanks. I think what we'll do next month, Cavi, as you were talking, I think we'll do breakout rooms and then everybody can talk a little bit more. Sometimes it's easier to do stuff like that in smaller groups. And so plan on it. I think that will be really helpful, especially because next month is Women's History Month. And so I think talking about all this stuff. And then April is the month of hope. And so as far as we look at this stuff, I think it would be great to share it. Because we all have them. We all have biases. And if you don't think you have a bias, then we'll talk about what that really looks like. The denial is not a river in Egypt. Okay. Behavior management. Why do we do it? What is it? So licensing requires we do this every month. And I don't give a lot of instructions of how to do it. So over the years, I take a lot of stuff from all different spots and have put this together just to try to figure out what works, what doesn't work. Most of the stuff in here I'll talk about today, I've learned the hard way, hard lessons, things that worked great with one person and things that didn't work great with another person, and things that worked great with one staff and didn't work great with another staff. And so it's so important that there's not a one size fits all. If you want to go to the next slide, Kurt. I think that we have to look at behavior is all about communication. And we always have to look at when there's communication going on, somebody's trying to tell you something. Just like when a little kid's in the corner and the staff at the Hope Center can tell you this, they're throwing a fit, they're trying to tell you something's going on, but they don't know how to communicate it. So I think that's a big thing. If you have animals, that's another thing, they can't communicate with you, but they're trying to communicate through opposite other ways. And so it's really watching and listening and observing. Next part. So we have to stay trauma informed. That's really a big deal. It's so important. Trauma informed has been the lingo that a lot of places have used for the last 10 years, but it's important to know what trauma informed means. And so trauma informed is all about understanding how we interact with others and being compassionate and looking at, you really don't always know someone's story when they're talking to you, and being open and listening. And I think sometimes I think one thing when a client's acting out, and it's really not about that. It's really something else. And so always, like I say, sometimes even if you read, I don't know, I read a lot. And so there's a lot of subtext in reading. And so trying to figure that out about what someone's trying to tell you. And when they're yelling at you or cussing at you or throwing a fit and slamming doors, sometimes that's really hard to get to that place and understand how to stay trauma informed. Next. Not easy. Next. Will you just go add all those, Kurt? And I think, it requires so much patience. Like I said, we're humans dealing with humans, not a perfect one size fits all. I had, when I left House of Hope for a couple of years, I went and helped someone that had worked at House of Hope. We opened up a day treatment business together working with adolescents. And I'll tell you, it was an experience for me to learn how to interact really well with adolescents and with staff dealing with adolescents. And so it required a ton of patience and a lot of asking for help. And one of the things she said to me, I saw her last week, is that, learning that, hearing that, and I think she said, Lisa said this a lot, is humans dealing with humans is really important. And that it requires a lot of asking for help and a lot of, I think, training too. I do a lot of other training just because it's so helpful to stay abreast of what's out there and what other people are saying. Because I don't know everything, and people teach me stuff every single day. And so a lot of practice and sometimes requiring a different way of thinking, which I like to say thinking outside the box. So a client is doing a behavior over and over, and we get in this rut where we say, well, this is the consequence and this is what we have to do. And sometimes I'm like, okay, let's think outside the box because what we're doing is not working. And so we have to figure out a better way to help people, because our goal is for them to move forward and progress in their life towards self-sufficiency. And, you know, it works for a lot of our clients. If we didn't believe that, we wouldn't work here. Next slide.
Oh, sorry.
And then a lot of consistency and a lot of flexibility. I don't know, Laura, I think Lauren was saying this last week when we were trying to talk about what to do with a client. She said, well, if we're going to be consistent, and I go, you're right. That's something we really have to talk about when we're looking at dealing with clients that have a real struggle with behavioral issues. And how do we stay flexible but consistent? But we always have to think about the safety of the other clients too, which sometimes butts against staying trauma informed. This several years ago, Rourke could probably tell you this too. Several years ago, there was a time where it's like, we have to stay trauma informed. We have to do this. And I said, yeah, but that does not mean we jeopardize the safety of the rest of the clients in the house or the rest of the staff as well. And sometimes, unfortunately, that means the client being there is not safe for everyone else, or that client's not safe for to be around their children. And so we have to make some really tough choices. But it's always about, I think number one is always about safety of staff and clients, always. Next. Brooke, you want to jump in on any of that? Or Steph? I'm going to hit you, Steph, and Ashley up a lot.
Yeah. In regards to like trauma informed.
Any of that stuff I talked about.
So when I did that training last May, what I got out of it is just basically kind of what you talked about, Lori, just thinking about we don't know a client's full story and their behaviors might be like indicating something different than what it portrays. So it could be like trauma related. And just I agree, being flexible, like as humans, everyone's different. Not everything works the same for everybody. And so just being creative, asking for feedback. And I think at House of Hope, like we do a really good job of like collaborating, asking for feedback of how to help a client. So that's what I have to say.
Thanks.
I think a lot of our clients, like kind of like you said with pets or like animals or kids, a lot of our clients were never taught how to express their emotions anyway. So they are going to like respond kind of like a child, they're going to throw a tantrum because that's all that they know, even though they're adults. Like they don't know how to express what they're feeling because maybe they haven't even identified their feelings before.
Thanks. Yeah, very, very true. I totally agree with all of that. Mm-hmm. And because that's our job to help them learn emotional regulation. And I always go back to, I say this to the clients all the time, is we teach people how to treat us, but we also get to teach our clients how to treat us too. And we can do that in a really compassionate way. For example, client barges in the office without knocking. So did you just walk in the office without knocking? Oh, yeah. Okay. Want to go try it again? They go back out. They knock on the door. They come back in. Thanks. How can I help you now? But it's an easy way to redirect without having to be confrontational in a really negative way. And I think even when clients walk back to my office sometimes when they do MAT, did you just walk back to my office? Yeah. Is it an emergency? Or is it worth the awareness? No. Can you send me a runner? Yep. Okay, thanks. And so I think too, really looking at that, helping teach them patience, helping teach them a lot of emotional regulation and delayed gratification is big. And I think that de-escalation part, I know it's the hardest thing to do at the houses. It's hard to do at night when the staff are gone in Provo. It's hard to do when the center moms are up at the Hope Center. And I think that's the thing is, how do we de-escalate? How do we work on self-regulation? How do we improve their self-esteem and look at independence? And I always say, this is always practice for when you leave House of Hope, because we're not always going to be here. And how are you going to do this in a job or school, or when you're back with your family and they haven't had treatment? How do you help teach them how to be appropriate as well?
Well, I wanted to bring up consistency and flexibility, because I added that actually the consistency and flexibility, because consistency is great and our clients really rely on the consistency, but also sometimes our clients are so different that we need to be flexible in how we treat them and how we communicate with them. We cannot communicate the same with every client. It's like learning how their communication style is so important and how we treat them and talk different things like that while trying to stay consistent.
Yeah, thanks, Katrina. That's so true. Yeah, and I think what works for, like I said, we're humans, but what works for one client, it's not a size fits all. And so you can do a million trainings, and I say you go to school and there's all these modalities of how to do stuff. And then you get in the middle of the situation and you're like, excuse my French, but none of this shit's working now, right? And so you have to figure out how. The bottom line is they're trying to tell us something and they don't know how to communicate in a healthy way. And our job is just to listen and support and figure out. And sometimes that's hard when they're not being very nice, and how to work through that. And so it's all about relationship building, always about relationship building. And I believe in interventions to motivate change. Sometimes I hear staff say, well, it doesn't matter anyway, they're not going to do it. And so I really have a hard time with that, because I really believe in interventions, and eventually two things happen. Either a client chooses to really want to change behavior and they progress. Maybe they don't progress the way we think they should progress, but remember, they came off the street sometimes, where they were homeless for years, where they were trying just to survive, where they were getting the crap kicked out of them and they were trying to figure out how to find food. And the system has beaten them down. And so that they came up a level where we don't think they are, but they've progressed substantially. Sometimes I think there's some, I can't think of the word, but there's a gap in what we expect versus where the client has really progressed. And so I sometimes go to that What About Bob show. It's about baby steps, right? Baby steps to the door, baby steps down the stairs, baby steps to the bus. And I think we have to remember it's a lot of baby steps, and how to figure out how to do that, but also keep everything safe and consistent and flexible. Sometimes that can all be counterproductive sometimes when we're trying to figure out how to juggle all those balls. So I believe in interventions. I really do. And it's not about punishment. Anytime a client uses that word, I always try to redirect it. We don't punish. We help work on interventions to change behavior. But also remember, we're working with adults. They're not little kids, and it's important how we communicate with them. Not talking down to them, not talking to them like we think they're idiots. Like, they're here for a reason, doing a really, really hard thing. And we're telling them how much coffee they can drink and what they can eat and when they have to pee in front of us and when they have to go to bed. So it's a tough thing to do. And I think sometimes remembering that how hard it is to be in treatment. New healthy behaviors. Like I said, confronting behaviors that are unhealthy and unsafe in a healthy way. And I believe that confrontation is really important, and it's all about how you do it. And I can confront somebody like Natasha very differently than I can confront somebody like Misty. And so really being aware of that, of what they can take and how much you can kid around with them. But also confront behavior. So Natasha had something going on last week or the week before with somebody, and I'm like, dude, what the crap are you doing? You know better than to have this argument with someone. Well, I was in the big kitchen. Why didn't you walk out the door? You could have taken away if you can't argue with someone, right? And I talked to her just like this. She's like, you're right, you're right, you're right. And so I think just being aware of that kind of relationship you have with clients is really important. Building a really healthy therapeutic relationship with them that's about respecting them and respecting what they're doing. And I believe in positive reinforcement too, whatever that looks like. I mean, whatever you guys think helps the best. And I'm always open to ideas for positive reinforcement. We don't do group punishment. It's against provider code of conduct. We don't yell. We don't swear at clients. I mean, I think really being aware of that and how we communicate with them. Because remember, like Cami was saying, we are trying to mentor and model for them, and they watch us a lot. And then modeling healthy behaviors every day. They watch us just like when you're sitting around with your kids and your kids are watching you. They watch all our interactions. They watch how we interact with each other. And so remember, we're always trying to model and that we're making mistakes. We're human. Apologize if you make a mistake. If you mess up, own it. Like we are totally fallible. Nobody's perfect. And so that goes back to not getting defensive and looking at perspective. I think the hardest thing is for me too, I think I communicated effectively, but then I have to remember I have a really strong personality. I'm the director and I have the power to kick someone out of treatment. And that's a lot right there. And being aware of that is so important when I'm communicating. And I don't always think about that all the time. And so it's always important to know where you're coming from. We have power that maybe we don't think we have, but we do. Brooke, did you want to jump in on any of that?
You're doing a great job. No, it's interesting. When I first started years ago, we did the group punishment thing. And sometimes it was effective, but most of the time it caused more trauma. And so I think it's great that we're back to that place of, first of all, we've changed our language. We don't punish anyone. We create consequences that are going to help them change their behavior. And I think that as far as I can see, everybody on the staff does a really good job at redirecting when clients are talking about, I'm being punished, you're always punishing me, and I don't deserve to be punished. Instead of, no, you made a choice and that behavior needs a consequence because that choice was inappropriate. And so I appreciate that we do a lot better job than we did years ago in making sure that we use trauma-informed talk and trauma-informed care to make sure that the client feels respected for one and isn't, well, trying to decrease that thought that they're being punished. Because I don't like to be punished personally either. So it's nice that we're able to redirect and have an atmosphere where you can make a mistake, but you also get to take care of the consequence for that mistake. And one comment too about the trauma-informed doesn't mean that we can't give consequences and that we can't be firm and that we can't have assertive communication back to the client, because when the trauma-informed thing came around a few years ago, it was like, oh my gosh, we can't be firm and we can't set boundaries and we can't do all this because we don't want to re-traumatize them, when it's just the opposite. Those things help decrease their trauma by setting boundaries, by having assertive communication. It actually helps them decrease the trauma because they feel respected.
Thanks. Perfect. I don't know if that's working, Kurt. I don't think so. It might not work. I'm going to try to see if I can pull it up.
Is there supposed to be a video right here? I'll stop screen sharing so you can screen share.
Julie, you want to tell everybody what it's about?
Oh, every time Petty does something Sheldon doesn't like, he offers her a piece of chocolate, which she takes. And so he gives her this look, and then she'll do what he wants her to do, and then he'll give her another piece of chocolate to reinforce the behavior. So that's what that's about.
If you guys get time to ever put this on YouTube, it's pretty funny. I mean, he's using B.F. Skinner's kind of old way that he used to do to try to change behavior. And even though it's a funny take about it, and what they do a lot with, they started doing this with mice back when Skinner was doing all of his research on psychological change with behaviors. I think reality is positive reinforcement always works better than negative reinforcement. Now, do we have to do contracts? Do we have to do all that kind of stuff for motivation and probation? Absolutely. But can we find other ways to reward good behavior? I've heard clients say before, I don't cause problems. I'm fair. I'm doing what I need to be doing. And everybody that's acting out gets all the attention. And that happens a lot. And so I'm always open to other ways to focus on the good versus looking at all the critical.
You know, Lori, I think another thing that we can mention here also is that someone else in the room is very upset by this conditioning that Sheldon is doing, and says that's unethical when you're doing this to her and she doesn't realize you're doing it. And I just think that kind of in this context says, you know, that just reinforces why we have to use the why so much, why we do things, why we have this boundary, what, you know, that kind of thing just is a little.
Yeah, absolutely, Julie. And I'm a why person. Interesting. My mom brought me chicken soup the other day, and she was saying something about why. And I said, yeah, well, I'm one that has to understand and do directions. She's like, yeah, that makes me crazy because her husband's like that. And I said, well, it's because I'm a why person and I can't do things without understanding why I'm doing them. And so that can be really frustrating. But for me, I get that, you know, I can't blindly just go there. Lisa, one time I used this example a lot many years ago, where she said, hey, I need you to do this. And I didn't understand why. And I was like, well, I don't understand. She's like, can't you just do what I tell you to do? Because I tell you to do it as the boss. And I said, well, yeah, but can you tell me why? And she said, here's why. And I don't remember even what it was about. And I said, okay, you're the boss. I'll do it. I might not agree with it, but I'll do it. And I think that's just for us, understanding why we're doing what we're doing is really important. And explaining to the clients were really, I will say day treatment is another example. They were really kind of up in arms last week. And I think Amanda and Mara were doing their best to help them out. But, you know, they're upset. They don't understand why we didn't have a therapist hired yet, what's going on. They didn't feel like they were able to process on Mondays. There was all this stuff going on. And what they were really saying is, we miss Erica. And can you validate that we miss Erica and we don't have a therapist here? And this is really scary and change is hard. And so really looking at what's really going on, and here's things we can do to help support them. And should we have explained it to them in a better way? Yeah, we should have. And so just listening to that piece too, because it's easy to get into that where everybody fires everybody up, and it's like South Park where they go rabble, 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 right? And it's like, kill the beast. And then all of a sudden it's like, what happened? How did we get here? And so just hearing them, you know, and it was like, well, it's still not okay. It's not fair. And I'm like, I validate you. This sucks. Like, absolutely, it sucks. It sucks that we all have to do extra work because we're down to staff. But how do we rally? But we're all here to help you, and we're going to put a team effort in it. Okay. Next. Code of conduct. So Kurt just had you guys all sign the updated code of conduct. Hopefully everybody did that, because we have to have that in your files. When licensing comes next month, they will specifically look for that you have the most updated one. And I've talked a lot about treating the client without abuse, any of that mistreatment. We can't do exploitation. You know, I can't say, hey, if you do this for me, I'll do this for you. I know many years ago in the SEDC programs a lot, probably in mental health too, is where, you know, I know other places where people had clients washing their cars and doing all kinds of things, and we can't exploit them for any of that kind of stuff. We have to be careful about mistreatment. That's why we don't do group punishments. That's why we don't punish. When we tell a client to go take space, that doesn't mean we lock them in their room. Trying to think of other mistreatment stuff. It's all about keeping everybody safe. I had to do a lot of policy updates last year as we were getting ready to update licenses. And it's because there were so many changes in legislation that came out in the licensing guidelines, because down in where Provo, there was a treatment center in Provo that was doing pretty horrific stuff with youth. I mean, even a movie came out about it that specifically talks about Utah. And it kind of geared where somebody went to legislative and everything kind of changed to have a lot more supervision to make sure everybody's safe from harm, safe from neglect. We don't do restraints. We don't do seclusion. Do we tell a client to go take space in the room? Sure, but it doesn't mean they can't come out. We don't take food away. I know that we have the 2 cups of coffee and stuff, but that's why we don't lock food in the office, because I'd rather look at the behavioral piece of it or what's going on with their trauma that's triggering the behavior versus looking at those kind of things, because we always have to stay in the provider code of conduct. The critical incident piece is about if we have to report a critical incident. Critical incidents are if someone goes to the hospital, if somebody suddenly leaves treatment. So we have to report those to licensing. We had a pretty big issue with a client where there were meds missing, and she had palmed her meds, and we found crushed stuff in her room where it was a client with a kid. So I had to report all that to the state to let them know that what had happened and what we had done to kind of make sure that hopefully it didn't happen again. So any of those critical incidents, if you ever have questions about them, I have a whole list of them, but it's mostly stuff like that. So remember, our job is to keep the client safe. I think sometimes too, when we look at abuse, neglect of children, understanding what you can and can't report to CPS. It has to be, when we look at DCFS reporting or CPS reporting, it's imminent danger. And I know sometimes how we look at imminent danger versus how the state looks at imminent danger is very different. But DCFS does allow kids to have visits with their mom or dad if they're high. So it's really if the kid's in really, really serious harm. And most of the stuff, even if we report it, they're not going to do a lot about it. I think we always have to just document everything when we're worried about safety of a kid. I think it was Steph or Erica. I can't remember who it was, but there was a client last year or the year before that there was so much stuff with her 2 kids. I mean, I think she left one of her kids outside when she was Ewing, and he was 3. And so, but we reported all that and they still didn't do anything about it. So just being aware and documenting all, because eventually it may end up in court. And then cooperation, if there's anything we need to do with licensing. I'm kind of surprised they haven't reached out to me about the medication incident, because it was a lot of missing meds, but they haven't. So it may come up when they come next month. And then always making sure, when in doubt, do an incident report. If you're not sure, do an incident report. If it's out of the norm, do an incident report. It can't hurt to do them. My plan is incident reports go electronic next month, and you'll have to do them through Best Notes. So prepare, that's coming, and that will make it a lot easier. We talked about health and safety. We don't do corporal punishment, no fraud, cannot commit any fraud. So making sure if you're writing notes, you're there. You don't ever want to write a note for somebody that wasn't, you weren't there for the note. Like there was a thing with a note with a staff, and it was like, well, let me look at it. Is it something easily I can fix? But the staff was out, and it was like, no, I wasn't there. I can't do this. No, I can't fix it. So we have to be really careful about that. Our posters, when we say posters, they really look like flyers. Our posters should be displayed in all our houses. In the main, I think it's right down the hall in Provo, and in the big front group room. And then in the treatment center, they're outside Julie's office, and they just talk about the way to report, the client rights. So if you're ever questioning those are all over the place. And so we have to have those displayed all the time. And then we all have to sign a code of conduct so that we understand the rules of safety. Remember, we want to treat clients with dignity. I think that's such a big thing. When we're talking to someone, what would we think if they were talking to us the same way? So just remembering our treating with dignity and grace, I think that's a big thing. Even if I'm having to discharge someone, I want to treat them with dignity. Remember, they're doing a really tough thing. Communicating with family visits, that's really important. And we have to do that therapeutically. One of the things that says in the new licensing guidelines that came out last year is that they have to have weekly contact with their family. And so however that looks, whether it's a phone call with their therapist or it's the phone call with their case manager, and then they start having visits. So it's important that because we're treating the family, remember, not just the client. So family contact is really important. And then just knowing policies and procedures about program expectation, what our consequences are, why we're discharging a client, and then understanding the safety of the facilities, and the clients understand their rights too. That's why all the posters are out, so they understand their rights and that you guys understand what the code of conduct is. I always think in the code of conduct is just, it's about safety and treating people with kindness and grace and dignity and not doing anything that's harmful. It's kind of that do no harm thing. Kurt pulled up the code of conduct. You can see it. We're not going to read through all of it because it's very dry. But it talks about what exploitation is, what mistreatment is. Please make sure you've reviewed that when you signed it so that you're really clear about it. That's why documentation, if an incident happens, so important to document, so important to call clinical on call, so important to put it in the notes, and that there's follow-up so that if you're unclear that there's follow-up too. And that we're just doing everything to keep everybody safe. Our goal is to help our clients. So that's really important too, is our duty to help our clients. That's why we're in this business. So reviewing all that's really important as well. Did I cover everything, Kurt? Work? That's small.
I can't think of anything in the code of conduct that you haven't touched on.
Yeah. No, I think you got it all, Lori.
Okay.
But I can't now advance. There we go. This is the newest code of conduct, and it came out last February. We all signed it a couple of months ago, except for I'm still missing 2 people. I hope you know who you are because I've hounded you, but the contacts here in the bottom of this final page, this is new. This is basically almost the only thing that is new. But just so you know, from previous provider code of conduct forms that you've signed, this part here at the bottom with the contact information is new. And then you should have signed this page. This is the page that you signed and returned to me. Again, I'm missing it from 2 people. I need you to get those back. It's critical. So.
Yeah, that was probably where the video was. So keep going, Kurt.
Okay.
Can you let us know if you don't have ours on that, Kurt?
Yeah, if you don't know that you don't have it, then I have it.
Okay.
I mean, I've been, if you don't know that you don't have it, then don't stress about it.
Okay. At 3:15. I added this last year because I was thinking about clients' needs, and I don't know if a lot of you guys know what Maslow's hierarchy of needs is, but this is it. If you don't, this is it. It talks about like helping clients or helping people. And sometimes when people don't know what's going on with them, it's looking at how can I support you and what's really up. Is it about, I haven't taken care of myself. I don't know about you all, but that halt is real. Hungry, angry, lonely, tired. I get that way. I noticed I had COVID. I've had COVID. So I've been a lot more emotional because I don't feel good. And so really being aware of that when our clients don't feel well, emotional regulation sometimes goes out the window. And is it because they didn't eat? Is it because they're not feeling safe? One of my friends that used to work at House of Hope, she's a therapist. She's done a lot of research on what's called polyvagal theory, and she's done a lot of training. And it's a lot about the polyvagal nerve and how sometimes our clients are in that lizard brain, that fight flight mode, and they really struggle with feeling safe. So imagine trying to feel safe. You've been out on the street. All of a sudden you come into a place and we're like, well, this is a safe place. And they're like, I don't trust you. I don't know you. Everybody that's been in my life has hurt me. They've abused me. They've raped me. They've starved me. So Why would I trust that you're going to be any different, that you don't want sex or drugs from me? And then I have to live with a bunch of women that I don't know, that probably I used with one of them out on the street, or this person stole from me, or this person was sleeping with my boyfriend. And that's real. Everything I say is real because it's happened. And I don't feel safe. And so getting the central nervous system to calm down and to get to a place where they're actually free of drugs and alcohol, because they're still withdrawing a lot of times, to get them even to the second level of safety is very complicated. So, and they probably aren't on their medication, their mental health meds, or regular medicine that they may need. And so there's so many things to look at when you look at the whole piece of taking care of someone and taking care of your needs, that even to get to level 3 can sometimes be really, really complicated, and it takes a lot of time. And so remembering that when a client's really struggling, what's going on? What can I help you with? And sometimes just saying, how can I support you right now, can shut them down to the place where they go to the frontal lobe. Remember, the frontal lobe's about trying to understand. It's that logic place. It's that reasoning place. So sometimes saying, how can I support you, to make them think can really help, so that we can figure out how to support them. I don't know, Ashley, Burke, Steph, anything on that?
It's kind of going back to the vagal nerve. So there is evidence, like when you're in fight, flight, or freeze, you're not hearing things correctly. And so I think that's a good idea to get them to like start talking, to get them out of the fight, fright, or can't talk today. Yeah, you guys know what I mean.
Yeah, I think I'm a very like problem-solving person. So sometimes I struggle going to that feeling place a lot, and I want to solve it. And that's not really what they want. Sometimes they just want to feel heard. And so how can I support you? And I have to remember that, because I'm like, oh, let's fix this. No, that's not really what someone needs right now. They just want to be heard. And so looking at and there's so many factors to look at when we're trying to help our clients when they first come in. So how can we support you? What can I help you with right now? Nothing. I hate everybody. These women are all bees. They're all whatever. Okay, I totally hear that. So what can I help you with right now? And so sometimes I have to repeat a lot to get them to that place too. All else fails, remember clinical support's always there.
I think just validating them, and because as soon as they get out of that fight, flight, or freeze place, they're going to be able to like emotionally regulate and do that. So even just saying, like, how can I support you? Do you want to take 15 minutes and go sit somewhere quiet and just take some space? Or what is it that you need? Maybe sometimes offering an option, because I think when they're also in that place, they don't know what they need. So asking what they need, and then also just kind of giving them maybe some small options that would work for them.
Yeah, I agree. It's giving them choices too. Remember, they're adults, they're not kids. There's choices. Always. I always want to say, you're an adult. You get to make the choice. It's totally up to you what you want to do.
Like if a client comes in my office and they're so emotional, I'll say, do you want to talk about it, or do you want to just sit here for a few minutes? I can sit and work quietly, and you can sit there. And when you want to talk, I'm here when you need it.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a reason I have stress management lotion in my office, plus pillows, plus soft blankies. I mean, it's all for a purpose. I've set it up that way because sometimes people have to do really hard things in my office when I'm meeting with them, and I want that space for them to figure out ways to do self-care when they're dealing with really tough situations. Sometimes I'm like, there's self-care lotion if you want it. There's a stuffed animal if you need to pet the minky blanket. So yeah, okay, next.
And that self-care lotion works. I'm just saying.
I'm telling you, I'm gonna have to get some more. People use it all the time.
I have some in my office too, same kind.
Yep. Okay, so we talked a lot about behavior management for clients. Now it's about, what do I need during the chaos? What do you do to take care of yourself? How do you make sure you're responding versus reacting. I use those two words a lot. So when I say respond, I think of a 911 responder, because I don't know if y'all watch that show 911 at all, but I watch it and 911 Lone Star religiously. It's not real. It's a series of, but they're great shows, but just watching them respond, it's about, even if you've watched responders come into the building, okay, this is what you do. What do we need to do? It's very calm and efficient. And so how do we help with doing that versus being reactive? And I talk to the clients about this a lot. How can we work on responding versus being reactive? And remember that all behavior is communicative. And so, like we said before, sometimes people don't know how to verbally ask for what they need. You know, the last couple of years have been rough on everyone. Resiliency has changed a lot. I've read a lot about how it's changed. People's mental health has changed a lot. Our whole country, world has changed dramatically. And so that being cooped up has changed. Salt Lake City has changed. I don't know if y'all noticed, but the traffic has changed dramatically because so many people are moving here and the building keeps happening everywhere. So figuring out what we do to take care of ourselves, because things have changed a lot, is really important. Next. Change next slide. That was supposed to go back. Some days it's more like herding cats. Keep next one. Let's see if this works, Kurt. I don't know if it will. It may not, since I wasn't there to update it.
Yeah, it looks like it's not working.
If you go forward, it might, though. If you push forward to the next slide, it might make it work.
I'm having some serious computer problems here.
No, I guess not. Keep going. Okay, go back to that slide. Here's what we got. It's 3:20. You know, I don't know if this works. Can you do breakout? Does breakout rooms pop up on your Zoom, Kurt? It's not popping up on mine.
Yep, it sure is. You want to do some breakouts?
Yeah, let's do this. How many people are on here right now?
Looks like we have 54, so we could do
like 10, or should we do 8? 7. Should we do 7?
Sure.
Okay, let's do 7 breakout rooms. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to talk about a situation that's been difficult for you, and what you did to manage behavior with a client, or an idea of a situation that you weren't sure what to do. And talk about how you worked through that, what worked, what didn't work, what you learned from it. I'll throw it up here.
How long do you want us to break out, Lori?
3:23. Let's do 10 minutes, or what do you? Let's do 8 minutes.
So to 3:30.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. Here we go, guys. 7 breakout rooms. I'm assigning automatically, and go. And open all rooms.
Now that we're back, does anybody want to share what they came up with? Or incident that they struggled with? Anything, anyone?
I'll share.
Okay, Steph.
Just even today, some group, a client that's been here like since forever, no, for like, so many months and someone who should like follow the rules. And today in group, she was like eating, she was trimming her fingernails, and I was getting super frustrated because I would like constantly redirect her. And so I think just for me, just like remind myself to stay calm, and it's okay to like have to constantly redirect, and if that's what they need, then that's what you do.
Yeah, I think that's a good example too, because I think sometimes people get tired of redirecting. I'll tell you a lot. Sometimes I'm like, I get tired of having to do it too. But remember, we have to, I always go back to, we have to stay in our integrity about keeping the place safe and trying to be consistent as much as we can. And so that's such an important piece. I always think too, if they have to take a break, I'm okay with that. Like, are you sure you're willing to stay in this group and follow the rules? Do you need to take a break and then come back? I know that that happened last week in the behavior group that they were in with one of the clients, and they had to ask her to take space and leave the group. Of course, she threw a fit and all kinds of stuff transpired, but I'm okay with that. Like, they have to learn that they have to sometimes take breaks too to follow the rules. Remember, it's about we're teaching them, we're coaching them. I like the coaching, teaching them to be self-sufficient and be out there in the community as healthy, productive citizens. So how to act at a job, how to act at work, and to own that piece of it. Bo, did Bo have her hand up?
Yes, it's happened in the kitchen, like watching two little kids. The client just graduated. I just standing there and watching the mom give the kid chips and just start choking, and everybody start crying and they start grabbing raw hot dog. I'm like, okay, stop. And the more I try to tell her to help her kids, she had now start crying, act like I'm strangling her on the corners in the kitchen. So it's really frustrating me sometimes. I don't know what should I do. Should I go save the kids, or should I tell them keep pushing the mom? I just really don't know what to do in this part of the situation.
Yeah, I think that redirecting, I don't know, Lauren, maybe I'll have Lauren, since she's worked in the houses a lot. Justine, especially when you're working with kids, we want to keep the kids safe. And I think that coaching on parenting, sometimes people struggle with that. But, you know, I was reading notes about one of the clients today. You know, she's cleaning the house with chemicals and her kid's crawling all over stuff. And I'm like, yeah, that's a redirection. Put the kid in the high chair, strap him up, put him in the little roller thing that has all the toys on it while you're cleaning. Yeah, sometimes we have to intervene because remember, some of our clients have never parented. Lauren, Justine, any of you guys?
Yeah, Lori, like what you said, from my time at I Street, like it's a lot of redirecting, but I always told the clients, like, look, part of my job is to make sure that everyone here is safe, and that includes your kids. And so if it is something that I feel is an immediate safety risk, yeah, I'm going to intervene, and then I'm going to give you back the parenting rein, because it's not about me being a parent, it's about me helping you keep your child safe. And it's like, doing it that way, I've seen come across a lot better, because they see that I'm not trying to step in their role of mothering their child, which that cross parenting gets to be a real problem in the kid houses. But if I come across it as, well, I'm just trying to help you keep your kid safe, and then you're immediately back to being the parent. And that I've seen come across a lot better.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can I ask a question really quick about the parenting thing? When I was a teenager, I was a new mom and everything. Yeah, I had no idea how to be a mom, and Medicaid covered a nurse coming to teach me certain things about being a first-time mom, like how to bath a baby and, you know, do certain things. Do they still do that?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some, I can't remember the program there's a nursing program specifically in Provo. That I just might remember the name of it that was doing stuff. I think we do a lot of stuff with parenting, Sandy, but I know we've been trying to rebuild our parenting programs in Salt Lake and in Provo. So
yeah, I was just curious because the first time mom's coming through, you know, they have no idea what to do.
Yeah,
except
and then
the other
Aubrey
clients tell them.
Yeah, Aubrey put that WIC does that too. So yeah, remember some of our clients have no idea how to be a parent. So it's our job to step in and coach them on it too. And I'll tell you, if for a lot of you that don't have kids, that can sometimes be hard too, because, you know, clients will, you don't know, but remember, yeah, well, we're all trying to work together. We're all trying to keep everybody safe. So I want to help you. It always goes back to supporting and helping.
Just curious.
Yeah, thanks, Sandy. Next.
Hey, Lori, can I just say one thing real quick?
Go ahead.
Just because I think what you say is a good point, is like letting the clients take a quick break and stand in the back of the room, or do you just need a minute to get yourself together while they're sitting there, or sometimes stopping the whole group and just doing a couple things to take the tension down a little. The one thing we don't want to do is let them leave unsupervised, to just go in the hallway or to walk outside, because that's when they leave. So and that's when it can become dangerous, because you're sending someone that's escalated outside the room and without anybody with them. So I think it's a great idea. We just need to make sure that we can get a hold of somebody to walk with them, and they don't need to talk to them or anything, but just be able to take a little walk with them. So we're not sending people that are escalated unsupervised into the building or outside.
Yeah, good point, Lisa. I think that's really important. Okay, so we have to take care of ourselves too, right? And so what do we do about our own stress? Remember, this is a tough job. And so one of the new things we're going to start doing every month, I'm calling it the Resiliency Roundtable. I've been doing some stuff, actually the last year or two, a lot of stuff on staff resiliency and compassion fatigue and burnout and all kinds of things, really to help people, how to help people stay resilient, how to help our clients, how to help staff stay resilient. And I think that's such an important piece, is how we work on our resiliency. So I just did a training last week or the week before through the Change companies that do a lot of products that help work with clients, but they also have started doing some staff stuff that looks really cool. So I think the next slide, Kurt, has the staff resiliency flyer they sent to me that I thought was pretty cool on just strategies about resiliency. And I like how, you know, that life happens stuff. How do we work with that? It's kind of like, how do you roll with resistance? We talk a lot about what we can control and what are we doing to take care of ourselves too. Needs versus wants. How are we working on our own self-care? Because this is a tough job. We go into the helping field because we really want to help people, but sometimes the reality of this job can be sometimes getting a sledgehammer upside the head when you get in the middle of it and you're like, I really want to help, and this day sucked. Like Cami was sharing a thing that happened with the admission. Was that just last week, I think, Cam? You know, trying to help this client, the client's wailing and down the hall. It was a long several hours for them. And how do we take care of ourselves after hours? So I think that's really important. This is one of the slides that are the flyers that maybe what I'll do, Kurt, is we can attach it and send it out to everybody. If they want to print it off, I'll print some off too. I just thought it was some cool things that we talked about in this little training I did last week.
I can easily send it out when I send out the reminder for the quiz acknowledgement. I can attach this to that email.
Okay. One of the things I want to share too is they said in this training that I really liked, I was taking pictures with my phone, is you can strengthen your resilience, which I really like that piece. You know, I think compassion fatigue, vicarious retraumatization, secondary trauma, burnout, all that stuff is real. But I like the term resilience because it feels like it has more power to it about being resilient. And so how do you strengthen your resilience? How do we work on feeling a sense of progress and a sense of progress in our life? And what are our values and what are we doing about that? And what do we need? It talked about, there was some stuff on supervisors. We make assumptions about what an individual needs and wants and vice versa. And how do we work on that? How do we work on helping people and evaluating our needs and wants as well? Because yes, it's a job, but it's not a job like everybody else. So I agree. Next. So self-care, which is that resilience. What are you doing for self-care? So what do people want to share? What do you do for your coping skills and self-care? What are you doing to take care of yourself? People want to share something.
This is Lisa. I drink a Mountain Dew because it has orange juice in it. And
Yes.
I just feel like that's healthy. And the caffeine. No, for real, I just wanted to share. I've been learning a lot about when I was in school, it was like NLP and the CBT stuff was coming out, and I had a live rat, and I had to train him in a Skinner box, and they don't even teach behaviorism anymore. So trying to keep up on all the theories and everything has been a challenge. And so especially this last year, I've been studying and doing a lot of trainings and everything. And I think that the vasovagal stuff is so interesting. I would love to do a workshop for the women, but also make it part of what we do, because it's that, you know how people say like stand up and stretch and roll your neck in a circle, and there's different exercises you can do that I've never seen done before that are really simple. And so last night I was doing a training in like lowering your body's stress response while you're getting ready for bed. And maybe it was just the placebo effect, but I was like, that's the weirdest thing. Like there's stretches I've never seen and they totally worked. I'll send out the thing on YouTube in the chat, but understanding the vagal system, which is a nervous system that people didn't even understand before, and understanding how it impacts our women and how to lower the vagal response. I was just bringing it up because there's so much on YouTube now that can help you. There's a lot of bad stuff too, and it can distract you. But there, if you look up the cranial vagal or the vasovagal exercises, there's just tons of great videos, and they're really simple stretches. But for some reason, I've never seen them before. I've never seen that kind of stretch. It's kind of different.
Thanks, Lisa. I was talking about the polyvagal theory stuff. And so, yeah, I agree with that. I agree that we have to look at how we take care of ourselves. And it doesn't have to be big things. If you'll see on that resiliency thing, if it's not at the bottom to connect to, I have the connection on the change companies. They had some YouTube videos that took you to some really quick 2-minute, 45-second things you could do for self-care, which I thought are really cool. There's all kinds of sites out there. There's Calm. There's lots of meditation sites that you can use. I believe in meditation. And I'll tell you, 2 years ago, I would have said it's dumb. But I started doing it in Provo. Kate was doing it at the beginning of therapy group. And so when I was going down there to help with groups a lot, I would start the group with that. And I watched clients who couldn't sit still for 2 minutes to meditate for 10 minutes change from the beginning towards the end. And it works. And once you start meditating, your body automatically goes into that space. So I think meditation's a big thing. If you do therapy, I think that's a great thing. Therapy is a good monthly thing, weekly thing. Everybody's putting on chat all the things they do. I love that. Yoga, Tai Chi, coffee, going to coffee with friends. And I think that connection with people outside of where we work too is really important. Friends and family, because we need human connection. That's a little bit different than what we're doing here at work as well. But you guys have come up with some great things in your chat. Margaret wrote, anything that sparks joy, and you will be different for everyone, but I love that. Sparking joy, things you do to have joy in your life. And I think that connection with people, I've been home with COVID. And so like, I get to that place where I really miss people. I miss being out. So I don't know how people work from home all the time. It would make me crazy. Next, Kurt. Next. Do you ask for help? We talked about what your self-care looks like. And then do you debrief too? How do you ask for help if you need help? We all need help. If you're not sure what you're doing for coping skills, if you're struggling, reach out. We have an employee assistance program. You know, there's all kinds of options out there that I think are really important that you can use. With our technology today, there's a lot of great ways to do self-care for free. Next.
Can I just reiterate the EAP?
Yeah.
Just to reiterate that is 100% free for you, whether you're a full-time employee or a part-time employee, and the resources there are vast. You know, there are, you may not, you know, you may have an experience where you don't connect maybe with the person that's offering that particular resource, but they're there and there's many of them and they're free for you. So just as we're talking about self-care, don't forget that EAP. It's a benefit to you.
Yeah, everybody's putting in the chat. Bath, hot bath, Epsom salt baths are great. Walking, reading, I read a lot. Therapy, meditation, general practicing radical acceptance. I love that. Sometimes I have to practice radical acceptance as I'm dropping F-bombs, but eventually I accept it. And what's your plan? You know, what's your ideas? So Sandy wrote Outlander. Great. I love that. What did Allison say? What did you say, Allison? A meal from
Vessel Kitchen.
Oh, okay. I have blocks on here. Nice. Thanks for sharing all that stuff. I think sometimes too, people don't know what to do for self-care. So ideas are great. I think next month we'll do the resiliency roundtable and we'll do some breakout groups on some things on what people are doing for resiliency. I'll have some more ideas for that. But I think we have to do a little bit of that every month, kind of like our culture corner, because I think it's important that we're taking care of ourselves. I want to say just because you love your job doesn't mean you don't suffer from some of this stuff. And so doing your own work, I know that's a big thing. What are you doing to take care of yourself as far as therapy, all those kind of things? Because we get triggered no matter what. I don't care who you are, we get triggered by what's going on. And so making sure that we're doing our own work and then making time for fun. How often do you laugh? Hopefully a lot every day. As you're looking at de-stressing, I don't know, laughter's the best thing. I usually close my eyes with Friends on because it's ridiculous and I love it, or The Office, but whatever makes you laugh. Hopefully you have people around you that just do that. My daughter was telling me the other day that there's people that have that light that are just really fun to be around, that really give you that energy. She was talking about one of her friends like that. And I was like, those are the best people to be around because they bring that joy like Margaret was talking about. Okay.
It's really funny. And it's really funny. And when they refer back to, or they do similar things to that 70s show, it's great.
Yeah.
I agree. I've seen it as well. And I watched that 70s show growing up too.
Nice. Nice. Okay, questions. I think probably next month we'll do a little bit more on de-escalation because we didn't have a ton of time to talk about it. But some ideas. And probably what we'll do is be thinking about this as well for your takeaway is what are the top 5 things you do to help de-escalate when people are really escalated, so that we can help with de-escalation with other clients. And how do you de-escalate when it starts to spread like fire? Because in the houses, I'll see that happen. Like I was saying, that happened in day treatment group last week. And it goes to the robble thing. And how do you work with kill the beast and working through all that so it doesn't get to that? Questions? Anything? Anyone? Bueller? I just want to say I really appreciate everybody and what everybody does here, and just the team orienting, you know, especially I've been out for a few days. And so I am so grateful for the teams we have and how everybody just pulls together and helps. And so I don't know if y'all, Kurt, have you shared your news?
I have shared it, not with everybody.
I want to say I appreciate all you've done to help too with trainings and HR and stuff. So you'll be missed.
Thank you so much. I did want to just let everyone know that this is my last all staff meeting, and I really will miss you guys. This team is incredible. It's an incredible team, and I'm going to really miss you guys. So thank you.
You're amazing. We'll miss you.
Thank you.
I didn't know you were leaving till just now. I think I'm going to cry.
Oh, well, sorry.
Good luck.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody. We I have to end on a scolding note, although it's not scolding. Just remember, please, to do your acknowledgement quiz for today's training. Okay, it's really really critical. And Lori's put some resources here for you to take a look at, for some of the things that we've talked about. And stay classy, y'all. I'm really gonna miss you, and have a great rest of your afternoon. And thank you for your participation today.
Finn says bye.
Oh, my Finn.
Finn in his ears.
Bye, buddy.
Oh, yeah.
He's been sleeping, so it's been quiet.
Have a good afternoon.